We are live. How are you guys doing today? Thank you for tuning. Ugh, I can't talk today. Thank you for tuning in. You are watching Art Autopsy. I am your host, Clint Carney. I'm a professional artist. I work a lot in the film and television industry, and every 2 weeks, I get on the old YouTube and do a live stream and make some art before your very eyes. And I encourage everybody who is watching at home to get out your art supplies, whatever your medium of choice is, and make some art with me. If you do make some art, email it to me at clintcarneycreates@gmail.com, and I will feature your art on an upcoming episode. And we're going to get into some viewer submitted art in just a second. But I'd like to just start out, as always, by saying a sincere thank you to the fine folks who support me over on Patreon. So thank you, Jennifer, Tango14, Travis, Anthony, Rachel, Derek, Violet, Elizabeth, Jill, Charlie, Misty, Donna, Necrotechnicon, Stormy Dragon, Sarah, Brian, Susie, Julie, and Ojasan TV. Thank you all so very much. And if you're watching, say hi in the chat. I do check the chat throughout the night, and I love seeing who's watching. And feel free to ask any questions that you want throughout the stream. I'll try to respond to as many as I can. So with that being said, let's see who we have watching. We have Ojasan Obscura, we have Jennifer Gupil, we have Sarah135 in the chat so far. So if you're watching and you haven't said hi in the chat yet, say hi so I know you're there. But let's get on to some viewer art to start out the night. So the first submission comes from Ojasan Obscura, and these are some marvelous pieces that he sent over. And I'm going, since he's in the chat, please, Ojasan, tell us what medium or mediums you used to create this stuff. Really cool. Love the vibe of it. And yeah, would be curious to hear what the medium is on each of these pieces. Or is this one solid piece, or are these three individual pieces, or two pieces? I'm not quite sure, but they look awesome and they go well together either way. So thank you so much for submitting. Okay, let's see. The Undead of Night has joined the chat. Hello, thank you for joining. Our next viewer submission comes from Jennifer Gupil. Jennifer took this spider baby head critter, and the before is up top, and then the after is down below, and you can see how she made huge improvements to this little dude. In fact, I was at Michael's the other day and I saw one of these things, and it reminded me of your submission, because seeing it in person, just the the before in person, at least, it really points out how cool your the work that you did on it is. So great job, Jennifer. And please also feel free to tell us in the chat if you have any details you'd like to share about how any of our viewers can do something similar if they pick one of these up. Let's see. And in the chat, Ojasan says these are digital, created in Rebel 8 on an XP Pen Artist Pro 22. Those are all separate works, but in the same world. Well, very cool. Really well done. Excellent. So, yeah, thank you. Again, if you're watching and you're making art while you watch the stream and you want to share it with me and my audience, clintcarneycreates@gmail.com. Send it to me. I'll share it on an upcoming stream. I got a little bit of promo before we get into the painting for tonight. I'll try to be brief, but tomorrow I just recorded an interview with Icons of Fright, which is a really cool horror podcast. My buddy Rob Galuzzo is one of the co-hosts of it. You might also recognize Rob if you've seen my film Dry Blood. Rob is the clerk in Dry Blood. And anyway, they were kind enough to have me on their podcast, and it airs tomorrow. It's on all of the usual suspects wherever you consume podcasts. Go listen to Icons of Fright. We have a segment in the interview where we all talk about our favorite 5 favorite horror films from the 70s, although I should preface that with I was instructed not to select obvious choices. So rather than saying they're my absolute 5 favorite 70s horror films, I'll say my 5 favorite deep cuts, the non-obvious ones you might not know about. So if you want to hear about that, listen and more, check out that podcast. But the main reason that they had me on is because I'm doing a little promo, which leads me into my next promo segment. I wrote a novel based on the film Dry Blood that I wrote and produced and acted in. I wrote it out in novel form, and it is in pre-order right now. If you go over to dryblood.com, you can pre-order it. But how that pertains to the art thing, there's a number of different tiers. You can just get the novel or the audiobook. You can get it physically or digitally, but there's also a tier where you can buy an original sketch. If you wanted to own a affordable piece of original art from me, that's a great way to do it, and you're supporting the first pressing of the novel in at the same time. So that being said, let's see, Jennifer in the chat says, what made the doll really work was adding the hair. It was okay before the hair, but super creepy with it. Yeah, I agree, Jennifer. The hair really makes that doll. Very good job. Okay, so we're going to get into the show, and this painting is going to look very familiar because it is the one that we started 2 weeks ago, or the one I started 2 weeks ago that you guys watched if you were watching. And I haven't done a lot of work on it, but what I did do, let's just click over so you can see. What I did do is I took my China marker here, and I just kind of, cleaned up my illustration work a bit, just to, kind of better define where I want things to be. Like his nostril was way too high, so I got to move that down here. And then I decided, I just noticed that the apple happened to be in a place where these crab legs were coming out, where it just felt like it should be its own little creature. So I decided to throw some googly eyes on him just for a little bit of humor mixed in. So, what I'm hoping to do today is make some really serious progress on this, and just not only refine the illustration better, but also start finalizing as much of it as I can, or at least by the end of the night, hopefully I'll be further along. Well, I'll be several hours into it beyond where it's at right now. And then I just made little marks here and there. I want to add like flies, I think, on here, because all of this, or much of the fruit in our little makeshift fruit basket here, is going to be rotten, and certainly this head is not in good shape, so it's going to be drawing flies. So that's where we're at. It's a return to this painting, and if you didn't watch last week, this is about an hour and a half worth of work, so it's a good start, but a lot to go. And then just my refining the sketch here, probably 20 minutes to just add these lines and kind of correct the drawing. You can see too, I kind of shifted the position of his mouth down a bit, just to hopefully fix the anatomy a little bit. And I'm sure, without a doubt, as I paint, I'm going to be changing it even more. But that's where we're at right now. This is the palette I started last time, and I'm going to just squeeze out the same exact colors that we used last time. This is one cool thing about having the recording of the painting, is that I tend to say the colors out loud to camera, and so I didn't have to do any guesswork as to what colors I had selected. So let's get those on the palette, and then I'll show you the palette. So first is titanium white, and then we're going to throw in a little ivory black, which I'm going to use sparingly, maybe not at all, but it's good to have just in case. I'll probably use it for the really dark sections. We'll see. And then we've got phthalo turquoise, which, as you'll see here, when you squeeze it out on the palette, it's very dark. It's so dark it's almost black. But once you start mixing it with white or whatever other colors you want, you can get some really nice tones out of it. And next is cobalt blue. Ta-da. And 4 more to go, and then we're going to get into it. Permanent alizarin crimson. Where did I squeeze that out on my palette? There we go. Permanent green light. And I want you guys, if anyone watching is making art tonight as they watch, let me know in the chat what you're working on. I'd love to hear all about it. Cadmium yellow deep hue. And one more color to go, which is just magenta. And so last time I just painted very thick. We didn't get into any mediums at all with it. Just straight thick paint, and I think that's the direction I'm going to take again today. Keep that theme running on this painting. Probably when I get into the 3rd, 4th, or maybe even 5th session on this, after I feel better about the illustration of the painting in general, then I may delve into some washes or some what's the word I'm looking for? I am blanking on words are hard. Anyway, I'll get into using mediums later on, but for now we're going to just stick with straight up oil paint. Okay, Necrotechnicon has joined us. Hello. Oji-san says, digging it so far. Count von Bockelwoven has joined us. Thank you so much. He says, painting looks great. Also, love the little guy hanging out behind your left shoulder. Oh, thank you. This is, that was, the pumpkin guy? The pumpkin guy is just, yeah, a couple pieces I got from Home Depot that I glued together. And Oji-san says, working on a nasty alien digital. Right on. Very cool. All right. Let's get to it here. First, I'm going to mix up, I think I'm going to mix up just a little bit of this background color turquoise. Try to match it somewhat close to what I had before. Hey, that was one shot. Got it pretty close. And just kind of refine the edges of my illustration here to match my redrawing, just so I'm not confusing myself too much. So, and for everybody who's just tuning in who missed the intro, just a quick plug. I am currently in pre-order for my new book, which is based on the film I made called Dry Blood. If you go over to dryblood.com, not only can you pre-order the new book, but there's also tiers where you can buy an original sketch that comes with the book and so forth. If you want to own a piece of original art that is more affordable than most of the stuff I sell. It's a cool way to do it and to support the pressing of the book at the same time. So dryblood.com if you're so inclined. I don't really know yet at this stage if I'm going to keep the background and the tabletop surface or the floor, whatever it ends up being, just solid colors. I kind of actually like it like that because there's going to be so much detail in here that keeping those pretty solid will help not detract from the main image. Um, but you never know. I might get a wild hair and decide to add some detail in there. We will see, but that will be a decision for a later day. And I really like these China markers because once the paint is dry, you can just draw right over the top and really fix your illustrations that way. In the past, I would just do that with paint, which is totally fine to do it that way as well, but then you got to wait for the paint to dry again before you can work on it. And in this case, with this thing, it's already dry immediately, so you can just go right from fixing your illustration with your and paint right over that sketch, and it takes the paint really well. So okay, cool. So that cleaned it up a bit. Let's see. I think I'll start maybe with the crab leg in the background, so that way when I go in and do the banana in front of it, um, not battling with it. I think. See, Jennifer says I am painting a miniature zombie portrait. Ah, excellent. Very cool. Anyone else? We got Oja-san and Jennifer working on art tonight. Who else is working on it? And if not, how dare you? Just kidding. Of course. Oh, I almost forgot where I put my palette. So this week I've been pretty busy doing some visual effects and helping produce a new film by the Boxleitner brothers, Sam and Lee Boxleitner. They have a cool channel here on YouTube called Box Bros Horror. Go check them out if you're not familiar with their work. They make cool stuff. So that's taken up some of my time this week, and then a lot of it has been just strategy and for marketing the book and setting up the PR campaign, all the non-glamorous stuff, the business side of things. But I am excited to get this book out. I'm really just happy with how it turned out, and I can't wait to see it in print. And if you aren't able to take advantage of the pre-sale, it will be available on all the usual book retail sources in October. So that's when the pre-sales will ship. I may ship a little earlier depending on when I get my writer copies back from the press. So we'll see. Oh, also coming up on September 26th, there's going to be another Hyena Horror Market. I'm going to be doing another vending there again. It's at the Mayflower Club in North Hollywood. It's a free event, and I will have copies of. I should have copies of the book by then as well, which I'll be signing. So if you pre-order, you can also opt to pick it up there if you want. But if not, I will mail it out to you. Anyway, writing that book really rekindled my love for writing. I had started writing a number of books over the years, and made it pretty far on a lot of them. This is the first time I made it over the finish line with a novel, at least, although I have completed 10 screenplays and numerous short stories and things of that nature, and one novella that I wrote and released like 15 years ago. But anyway, yeah, it was a nice sense of accomplishment to do it. So I'm glad that there's an audience of weirdos out there who are interested in the book. On that last clown painting I did, I guess I got a lot of practice in on. Well, it was a lobster at the time, but let's be honest. Painting lobster claws and crab claws aren't that different in terms of color choice and so forth. So pretty much using the same color scheme on my crab claws here, or crab legs. I guess they're not the claw parts. Necrotechnicon says if I work on something at the same time, I'll focus on it and miss the whole stream. I understand. Although, that's not bad. It's not necessarily a bad thing either, because then at the end of the stream, you'll have a completed piece of art. And you can still listen to me ramble while you work on art. But I appreciate you watching either way, and am honored that you guys give me your attention on these Wednesday evenings. So thus far, at least on the crab legs portion, I've just been using alizarin crimson, cad yellow, deep hue, and titanium white, and we'll see if that's all I end up doing on these, or if I have to bring in other colors later on. We'll see, but for now it seems to be working out all right. Oh yeah, also thrown in the cobalt blue a bit for shadows here and there. And maybe I'll even sneak in a little bit of the phthalo turquoise for other shadow areas. Like, get out my handy dandy T-square here to prevent my hand from going into the paint. Ah, Michael Garcia has joined. What is up, Michael? Thanks for joining. Okay, I think I'm going to do the same thing I did with the turquoise at the top and just start refining some of my redraws here in the yellow section, or at least I will around the this crab leg. Pardon me, so I can finish that part of the leg. And I'm just going to take some of this cadmium yellow, throw some titanium white in there, and I'll probably go a little lighter than what I had previously established just for the background, and then it will kind of get darker as it comes forward. And again, still undecided if I'm going to end up introducing any detail into the two background colors. I might just keep them pretty solid, or a little bit of a gradient in the yellow at least, but we'll see. I'm open to changing my mind. And so you can see I have just a little squiggly there, which represented a fly that I wanted to add in on top of the crab leg, but he's getting covered completely now, so I will make a mental note to add a fly there in a subsequent session on this painting. So this painting, assuming I finish it in time, which I don't see why not since it's a ways off, I hope to have this painting with me and on display at the next Hyena Horror Market on September 26th. So in LA, there's another big convention called Midsummer Scream. It happens at the in Long Beach. I'm not entirely sure what the venue is there, but that's this weekend. I'm not vending, but I am going to go check it out, I think, for one of the days. So if you go to Midsummer Scream and you see me there, come up and say hello, and let me know what your screen name is in the chat, so I know I know who I'm dealing with. But it should be a lot of fun. Has anyone here ever gone to Midsummer Scream before? Question mark. I went. My wife and I went once, but it was a long time ago, and looking forward to going back. So. If I remember correctly, I think this convention also deals or is targeted a lot toward the home haunt side of things. Like I believe they have like a little haunted exhibit portion, like a walkthrough thing there. Um, so anyway, that will be fun. Michael says he's been good and is drawing as he watches me paint the fruit bowl head guy. All right. Excellent. Glad to hear it. Let's see. Let's paint's wet, so I don't want to touch it there, but I just want to get a approximate level here on how that connects on that side. Okay. All right, let's move on to this banana. All right, let's see. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a brown color here. Just a little bit of black to darken up my brown here. Of course, it is still hot as heck in my garage, although not nearly as hot as it was during the last live stream, so that's good. I may want to introduce another shade of yellow on this eventually just to get it a little more vibrant, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. That's just something I'm keeping in my back pocket, but we'll see. We'll see if it ends up needing it or not. Okay. Making progress. Let's see. IVB Creates has joined us. Ivy says, "Help, Clint. Everything looking great." All right, that's probably supposed to be a hello, Clint, not a help, Clint. Hello. Thank you, Ivy. I appreciate it. Undead of Night says, "Have you or the chat been watching the Widow's Bay series? Hooked me in the first episode with the line, 'There's something in the fog,' fun and creepy with horror references." I have not been watching it yet, although one of my dear friends recommended it to me after he watched it. He thought it would be something right up my alley, so I do plan on watching it. I just the wife and I are in the middle of watching The Bear right now, which is pretty good. Not horror, but the horrors of managing a restaurant, I guess. But it's pretty good. So that's certainly on the list of things to get to. Thanks for the recommendation. I'm not used to having my palette over the top of the painting like that, but I figure it's a little more helpful if you guys can see what I'm doing and what I'm loading up the brush with. So there the palette stays for now. I'm not sure what I want to do here. And to be honest, I can't even remember what I was thinking um, when I drew that out. I'm almost kind of leaning toward maybe do it as some kind of a flower. Um, so maybe I'll explore that thought for a second and see if I like it. Maybe we'll do a rose. Not fully opened yet, but we'll see. We can, there is nothing that you can do that you can't paint over later if you decide that you hate it. So I don't know. I think I'm certainly going to have to bring in a more vibrant red on that if I am going to turn it into a flower. For now, it's still kind of a amorphous blob, which may or may not end up being a flower, but we'll see. It's quiet out there in chat land. What are you guys up to? I'd like to think it's quiet because you guys are hard at work on your own art projects. You tell me. Or if you are hard at work at your own projects, don't tell me so that you can not be distracted. Oh, and if anyone's following me on social media, or if you're not, follow me over on Instagram or wherever you consume your social media bullshit. I just released a time-lapse painting of a recent painting that I did of a pickle pope. It's a fun one, so check that out over on my socials. I was going to work just from the top down, but now I'm just kind of thinking I'll might as well just go left to right here. Why not? Especially since left is further away from the camera. That way, the further I go with the painting, the more interesting it will, or the more in focus it will become for the camera as I move on. Let's see, we got some more stuff happening in the chat. Michael Garcia says, Clint, have you ever seen the 1976 movie Devil's Express? It's a kung fu horror movie about New York City kung fu master who later finds out there's monsters killing civilians in the subway. I have not seen it, but that sounds incredible. Kung fu and monsters? I'm in. Groovy Lava Squirrel Medic, hello. Thank you for joining. Sarah says, just watching along. Michael says, I saw the Pickle Pope on Facebook. Excellent. Thanks, man. Okay, let's see. Let's just make some headway on this crab claw over here. And just like last time on this painting, we're just going in thick, starting the painting thick, and not watering things down with the medium at all. Glazing, that was the word I was searching for earlier. We're not doing any glazing yet at this stage, although we very well might get into it later. You know what, I really, as much as I was trying to stick with just the exact same colors I started with, I really am feeling the void that can only be filled by cadmium red. So I'm going to throw a little bit of that on my palette as well. That's going to help me get the a little bit more vibrant life out of the crab legs. Although this is a color that is just a dry time monster. It will slow down the dry time, but you know, I think these crab legs needed it. Okay. Oh, also, for those just joining, by the way, I have a book coming out. It's a novelization, Dry Blood, based on the film that I wrote, produced, and acted in called Dry Blood. But did also want to mention, for those of you who are following me on Patreon, if you do order a book, please know that you can also use your Patreon discount code and get a little bit of a break on there. There's a number of people who support me on Patreon that have never used their Patreon discount codes. So if you can't find yours, all you have to do is go to your DMs on Patreon, and it will more than likely be the very first email that I've ever sent you on there will be the one with your discount code. And if you can't find it, you can always DM me on Patreon as well. But depending on what tier you're at on Patreon, sometimes that discount can be substantial. So take advantage of it. Sarah says it's the first time I actually remembered to use it. Yeah, that's right. And thank you so much for picking it up. Yeah, as I think I mentioned earlier, that working on that novel rekindled my love of writing, and I'm already revisiting some manuscripts that I had started a long time ago and never finished them, and already have in mind, the idea of trying to do another book next year as well. But we'll see how this one does in the long run, and then also, I have other projects I got to get out. I still got to get out the new System Sin album, hopefully this year, and I'm developing a video game that I'm hoping to get out before Halloween, although that is feeling more and more like an overly ambitious timeline because of how complex building a video game is, especially when you're just one guy. But I'm having a lot of fun working on it. And in the VCR today, which is queued up after the live stream ends, I am watching Alien, the original film, which will always be my favorite of the franchise or any of the spin-offs. You cannot beat the original Alien. Great film. I know a lot of people who bizarrely prefer Alien mobile game. It's a tower defense game themed around Halloween. So my hope is to get it out on all the mobile platforms, for your phone or for tablets, etc. And then also hopefully have a web-based version as well. And for those of you who have recently joined my Patreon, if you go back in the archives on there, you'll see I posted some screenshots. I think I might even have some video in one of the updates about the game, if anyone is curious about checking that out. Super fun, lots to learn as I go on that one, on that front. And this little area here that I drew, I was just trying to kind of get my shadow under control a bit and mark off where I needed to keep it in order for it to feel like the light source was in the right area. It was kind of just very blobby on the shadow before, so I'm going to see if I can't get that in better shape. See, Necrotechnicon says, I love the first and second Alien movies, but love them differently. The first one is definitely the best. I've seen it in the theater and at the drive-in several times, and that makes it even better. Ah, that's very cool. And Michael says, I hear there's a new N64 console out called the Modretto. Ah, interesting. For my gaming, and I don't do a lot of it, but when I do play games, I'm usually either just playing something stupid and time killing on my phone, or I'm playing in VR. All about VR games, but even still, there's only a handful that I play regularly. My wife is the gamer in the family, so she could tell you all about games, but I used to play more when I was older, or when I was younger, but it's just, if you want to get a lot of stuff done in life, something has to be sacrificed, and for me, gaming was just one of those things that I was okay with the trade-off of not doing it in pursuit of getting more creative work done. Okay, and I'm just mixing up some of this yellow with our phthalo turquoise because I'm pretty sure that's what I had done for the shadow color last session and confirmed. Now that I spread it over there, I can tell you that's exactly how I did the shadow last time, but I'm just kind of cleaning it up this time around so that the shadow is not so haphazard and unruly. And just blend out those edges on the shadow a bit. See, Ojisan says also he just called me and told me I need to set up my camera like you. Yeah, I'll tell you, this is probably the most unflattering camera angle for me when I'm in profile working on the painting, but it's too late to change it now. Hmm. Producer says, my problem is I have a giant head. Well, welcome to the club, man. I also have a giant head. Okay. Get a little more yellow on the palette there. Count von Backelwolfing asks if I came up with the name for the painting yet. Not 100%. I got a few ideas floating around, but I haven't firmly committed to it yet. Why? Do you have an idea? I was thinking, I've got them written down. I can't remember exactly, but there's something related to a fruit bowl in there or something. But yeah, I don't know what the winner is going to be. I generally don't commit to the name of a painting until it's already done, because you know me, it could be one thing 1 minute and then just take a turn, and the painting could take on a whole new direction, and I don't want to handcuff myself against making a good last minute decision if I'm trying to adhere to a name. Not that I can see this particular painting getting too much different from the direction it's already headed. And we want a bit of the bounce light that's going to come off of our floor plane here. We want that to bounce up nicely onto our head. But still separate it from the background with a little bit of dark turquoise underneath. And then let's see if I can blend these together a bit without too much trouble. Jennifer says, still life with eyeball as a suggestion for the painting title. Excellent. Sometimes I gotta lean back or even stand up and walk back a little bit if I lose track of where I'm going with the painting in terms of light and illustration and so forth. Okay, slowly but surely coming together. Let's just take a little bit of this shadow color, but keep the very yellowish side of the shadow color, and just gently put that on that back outline on that banana, just to help give it a little bit of dimension. Important question. Has anybody done any Halloween decoration shopping this year? Well, I know that Jennifer has, just because she's been working on that the doll spider that she sent earlier. But anyone else, or Jennifer, did you pick up anything else additional? So far, I've been to Home Goods and Michael's to check out their Halloween stuff. Got some cool stuff at both. Home Goods, though, if you have one in your area, I highly recommend checking that out around Halloween time, because they always have just a really cool collection of stuff. A lot of it has kind of like a vintage Halloween style to it, and their prices are generally pretty good. And the quality of the stuff they put out is always nice. I have a feeling I got to stop touching the banana, all right, because I'm just going to work it to death, and inevitably I will be working on the skin texture and the appropriate amount of decay on that banana for a long time to come. But for now, we're going to move on from the banana. And then this is gonna be just a little part of a lime sneaking out right there, I think. Ojisan suggests Krabby Fruitcake Apocalypse for the painting title. Excellent. And Ojisan says, going to Spirit this weekend. Awesome. The Spirit in my neighborhood has not opened up yet, and on the website it just says August. Very non-specific, and considering that we are in August already and it's not open, I don't know what to think, but hopefully it'll open soon. Jennifer says, I also picked up an animated beating heart. I'll have to check out Home Goods. Oh, cool. Nice. I still have an animated beating heart from that I got in grade school. It's funny now looking at it because it's very flat, and there's just like a single motor inside with kind of like a windy wire around it. Yes, I opened it up to see how the mechanics worked, and as the motor turns, the bent wire raises and closes the heart. And yeah, still have that one somewhere. It's not the most realistic thing, but when I originally got it, this must have been, I guess, probably 5th grade or whatever. I was a zombie that year, and I had my chest torn open, and there was like a plastic rib cage on top, and then I had like a plate of guts underneath, but I had that mechanical heart wired in underneath so you could see it through the rib cage, and then I could, run the wire down my sleeve and trigger the beating heart off and on that way. It was a big hit at school. I feel like every Halloween costume that I ever wore as a kid to school, that kids these days can't get away with that anymore. I think there's less tolerance for violent imagery in schools than there was when I was a young whippersnapper. Ojisan says, I have to pick up a Spartan costume for a bit part in 2 weeks. Oh, very cool. Doing some acting, eh? Alright, let's give this eyeball a little bit of attention here. It's funny because I painted it, it was not super round, and then I went to redraw it, and I feel like I also made it just as not round as it was before, only now it's not round in a different way. But just got to keep working it, and eventually the shape will work itself out. And I'm going to have a fly directly on top of the eyeball eventually, just not today. But I think that'll be really cool. That'll be the gnarliest one. The most visually impactful fly, I think, will be the one that lands directly on his popped out eyeball. Right, and for those who have recently joined and maybe who are watching for the first time, you are watching Art Autopsy. This is a bi-weekly live stream art event that I host. My name is Clint Carney. I'm a professional artist and I do a lot of work in the film and television industry, and every 2 weeks I jump on the old YouTube and do some paintings for you folks. Also, if you are making any art while watching the stream, and you'd like to show it off, please feel free to email it to me at clintcarneycreates@gmail.com, and I will share it on an upcoming live stream. Ojisan says, I think I get to live in this one. That's cool, man. So do you do a lot of acting bits? I'll do an acting role every now and again, but I don't really go out for auditions anymore. Just don't have the time right now. Well, maybe one day I'll return to it, but generally speaking, I've waited on, or I've just relied on the kindness of friends to throw me in their movies. Oh, I mentioned this before on a previous live stream, but one of the films I just that I've been working on as far as the VFX goes recently is called Vidya's Guide to the Afterlife, directed by Sandeep Parikh, and that one I'm just about wrapped up on, so look for that coming out. I'm sure it'll do the festival circuit first, But I mention that because I have a blink and you'll miss it cameo in the film. So if anyone does end up watching it, you know, see if you can spot me. I think I'm on screen for a total of 2.1 seconds. Undead of Night says, I'm flipping through an H.R. Giger art book while watching the stream and came upon his Emerson, Lake and Palmer cover with the fitting title for your painting, Brain Salad Surgery. Nice. It's funny. I'm sure I mean I know I've seen that painting before, but I'm can't picture it off the top of my head. But it really is interesting just how you know, I think when you think of Giger, most people at least just associate him with Alien, you know, that design or Species, or you know his movie design work, and he really did do a lot of album covers and book covers and poster images for other films and things like that. So it's always kind of fun when you discover something new that he had done. Well, not new anymore, but a new to you piece. And I'm going to have to do some detailed line work on the veins in this eye, but I don't want to do it while the white of the eye is dry, because inevitably I'm going to mess up and I'm going to want to wipe away what I do with it, and if the white is still dry, I'm just going to smear it in, and then it will create a big pink smudge. So I'm going to try to show some restraint and purposefully save that detailed vein work for a time in the future when the white of the eyeball has already dried. Hey Brian, how's it going? Brian Bubonic has joined us, and he says those Giger paintings were stolen and never recovered. That's crazy. Which Giger paintings, Brian? Which ones? Do you know in particular, or just like, was it a large quantity of them? Giger, Frazetta, Corbin, and Beasley are Ojisan's top 4. That's a good list. Although I must admit I am not familiar with Beasley, unless that's a reference to Pam Beasley in The Office, in which case I am familiar. Oh, the two from Brain Salad Surgery, Brian says, are the ones that were stolen. Ah, crazy. It's so weird, just the whole stealing art idea, especially when it's a very famous from a very famous artist, or if it's a famous piece, because how do you, if everyone knows it's been stolen, how do you ever resell it? It seems like a short-sighted thing to steal art for profit. Simon Beasley, comic book guy. Okay, now that I see his first and last name together, that does sound familiar, but it's not popping into my head what his work looks like, but I do know that name somehow, so I'll have to look it up after the stream. Also, that reminds me too, since I mentioned Pam Beasley. That was one. There's an episode where of The Office where when Dwight becomes regional manager, very briefly, and he hangs up all these paintings in the office that are like basically make him look like a dictator, which is super funny. I worked on that episode, but I did not get to do those paintings. But that was one gig that I really wanted to do because I was such a fan of the show. But those paintings were done by, I believe, I'm not 100%, but this lady, Jules, I'm blanking on her last name. She did like a lot of the art throughout The Office. Was often, I think, the one of the go-to artists on that show, at least during the brief time when I was on the show. But I did get to make plenty of other fun stuff for it, so I can't complain. Undead of Night says, love his Lobo art. Ah, okay. So he did Lobo. Interesting. I will, yeah, I'll have to look him up. I'm sure I'll know his stuff right away when I see it, because, I used to be a comic book nerd back in the day. Although I have not kept up with it. Alright, I just really want to fix his nose right now, so I'm going to just this part of his nose, whereas the old positioning of the nostril is showing through, where I made a very bad choice about that nostril. I'm going to just fix that, and then I'm going to jump back up to the apple. It's a little better on his nose. We'll still need to continue to fix that as we go. Also, his eye was a little too high to match the position of his eye socket there, so you'll see that I raised that too a bit in the sketch, which I'll get back to fixing that in paint in a moment. But let's see what we can do about this apple. And again, I'm adding just like plastic googly eyes to the apple to be kind of goofy, but with the position of the crab legs, it just felt like he needed to be his own little creature. And the googly eyes on him, I think, amidst all of this horribly grotesque stuff, will be pretty fun. So that's what I'm hoping for, but we'll find out. Let's see. Oh, Metal Music Maniac has joined the chat. Hello, Metal Music Maniac. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Just on Obscure has to hit the hay, but finish the alien. All right, cool, man. Yeah, send me a picture of your alien. Love to see it. We'll show it off on the next live stream, but thank you for watching. Okay, let's fix this apple. So, yeah, let's just get to it. And the apple is made up of all manner of colors. It's gonna have, well, so far it already has some crimson, some cadmium yellow, and our green. What color green was that? Permanent green light. But I will probably end up introducing even more colors into it. Let's see. Let's start with what we have in there first. And I'm going to obviously have to clean up my little shoddy sketch of these googly eyes a bit. I'm just going to be painting right over the top of that sketch. I'll draw it back in, but when I have an idea for something in a painting, like the googly eyes, for example, I like to, in this case, sketch it out first, or sometimes I'll just put a shape or like a basic squiggle somewhere on the canvas just to remind myself that I had that idea and that I think it will be cool. And then a lot of times it gets painted over, but just by putting in that temporary version of it, a lot of times that will be all I need to remember that I want it in there in the final pass. And a little bit of cadmium red in here. We're gonna try to, at the end of this painting, I want all of the colors well, not all the colors, but where appropriate, I want it to be nice and vibrant, to contrast where we're seeing a lot of the rot happening at the same time. So and I'm just bringing in a little bit of this shadow color that I made by mixing the cadmium yellow deep hue with our phthalo turquoise. take that shadow color, I'm going to bring it over here and just mix it with a little bit of our cadmium red just to give it a little bit more of a brown feel. Let me bring in my T-square for this so I can try to get this stem in one stroke. Okay, there we go. Close enough. 3 strokes, good enough. And let's make the tip of this hit a little bit of light. And a faint amount of light around the edge. And now I got to clean up a little bit of this turquoise backdrop here. Okay, and for everyone who has joined the stream recently, you're watching Art Autopsy. This is a bi-weekly live art stream that I do. My name is Clint Carney. I'm a professional artist. I do a lot of work in the film and television industry, and every 2 weeks I jump on YouTube and I do some live painting. So if you're not yet subscribed, please do feel free to subscribe to the channel so you get notified when I'm going live again or when I'm releasing a new video. And I do encourage everybody who is watching at home, if you are artistically inclined or even just curious about maybe trying it out, why not get yourself a pen and a sheet of paper or a pencil or your crayons or your paints or whatever your medium of choice is. Get it out and make some art with me. While I make art, we'll all make art together. And then this live stream gives you a reoccurring excuse to make art every 2 weeks. Although I highly encourage you to make art every day. Michael says, sorry, I'm back. What did I miss? Well, Michael, you missed me painting and rambling. So, you know, nothing that you can't catch up on just by looking at the state of the painting currently. Okay, I'm gonna just put in some try to get these googly eyes in some sort of shape. Just add a smallest bit of turquoise into the white here. So that way, when I add my specular highlights later on, they'll actually show up. Because if I just went solid white, a specular highlight will disappear into it. And then I even pull in a little bit of the surrounding color into that as well, just to kind of subtly tie it in. Oops. Once this is dry, we'll have to come back and add the specular highlights on here, but we won't be able to add them just yet. And that's the only downside about working in oils, is that sometimes you gotta wait till a second session before you can add all of the detail that you want, because you gotta give things a chance to dry. Yeah. I gotta fix the lack of roundness of these eyes a bit, but I dig the googly eye look on the apple. It's fun. Michael asked, did everyone like the mask you made at Hyena Horror Market? Yeah, it was a hit, and it sold, in fact, to Jennifer, who is watching tonight. So thank you, Jennifer. And you can see behind me here, this is a blank of that mask. So I just pulled that out of the mold recently, and I'll be painting him up and doing another version of him. Travis has joined. Good evening, all. I'm late to the party. Hello. That is my brother, everyone. Say hello. Okay, let's attempt to fix this eye. Here, again, I just had it kind of in a bad spot, so just had to shift it down a bit. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, turn my head a bit just to see if that's working. I think it is. just another recap for those who have joined more recently. I've got a new book. It's in pre-order right now. It's called Dry Blood, and if you go to dryblood.com, you can pre-order your copy now. And I also have tiers inside of the pre-order where you can get an original piece of art. One of the tiers has original sketches included, and it's a great way to not only support the book and me as an artist, but to pick up a original piece of art for a relatively cheap price compared to what I normally sell my work for. So again, dryblood.com, check it out. Well, here's a random movie question for you guys. Did you know that Clive Barker had a film that he wrote that came out before Rawhead Rex? I had no idea. It's called Transmutations, and there's an alternate U.S. title, which is Underworld, I believe. Not the Underworld that was the Werewolf versus Vampires one, but the one from the early 1980s. So anyway, I just heard about it today, in fact, because Arrow Video is releasing a blown up 4K version. So I saw an ad for that online. But of course, because, it's me, I immediately went to eBay and found a copy on VHS, which for a film from 1984 is certainly going to be the way I want to watch it for the first time. To get the full experience. But if anyone has actually seen it or even heard of it, let me know. I'm curious, because I thought I was very familiar with his filmography, and that one had slipped past me somehow. Brian says, I remember the box on the shelves in the video shop. I don't think I ever rented it. Undead of Night says, Transformations is bad. It's on Tubi. Makes Rawhead Rex look like a masterpiece. Yeah, same director as Rawhead Rex as well. So again, just written by Barker, but not directed by him. So I guess I'm in for a real treat then, it sounds, as in the opposite of that. But I'm going to watch it anyway. Because even if it's bad, sometimes I love a good bad movie, you know? All right, well, that eye is looking better. Although, you know, everything is going to need another pass. Many hours to go on this painting. You know, we're not going to finish it tonight, but we've already made some good headway, so I'm happy with tonight's session so far. And hey, we've already been going for 2 hours, so time flies when you're having fun. Maybe what I want to do next is try to fix his mouth. I don't know. I'm actually not sure. I'm going to stand up for a second just to take a step back and look at it from a distance and see if I can muster the willpower to keep going tonight. Let's see. Okay, yeah, from a distance, it's certainly looking better. His mouth definitely needs to be repainted more along the lines of what I did in the little white line sketch there. And yeah, certainly a lot of work left to go, but we made a good dent. I may actually call it a night on this so far. I'm just getting tired. I've been waking up early, but yeah, I think I feel good. The next art autopsy will definitely be posted on there. And oh, great! I lost sound. Everyone is telling me. I don't know if it's back yet or not. Is it back? Is it back? It probably went out because when I stood up and walked away from the computer for a second. So anyway, hopefully the sound's coming back in, but we're going to call it a night on this for right now. Feel good about how things are. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in 2 weeks. All right, take care.